Welcome, everyone. This is Susie Beiler, and I'm with my friend.
Daniel Posney.
So, Daniel, recently you went on a trip, and I would love to hear from you a little bit about how this transpired and why you decided to do what you did. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I live in Sedona, so I was really busy with classes and things to do and all that. Everything was great. Relationship was great. But as I was sitting in a coffee shop in Sedona, I had this. Even though they were getting ready to start making the coffee shop into a bar. People were getting ready to drink wine, and it was getting really loud. But I was listening to Snatam Kaur music on my headphones, and this music is it just gets into your heart and your soul. And one of the song that was playing was Om Namo, and it was about coming home. And still, when I say that, it just gives chills up my whole body. And just those words, coming home, just lit me up, and it just spoke to my intuition, my heart, and I had this desire to live in devotion. And where a lot of, for many years I've lived with one foot in and one foot out, as far as like being fully devoted to letting Spirit guide my life. And just, I'm sure people can relate. But so I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if I was going to leave, when I would leave, all that. So then when I spoke to my girlfriend about it at the time, she really took it really well. She really understood it, and she really understood it better than I did. I couldn't really put it into words, but she's like, oh yeah, I totally, I know what you're talking about. But so that's what led up to making the decision to stop what I was doing, even though it was awesome, to stop what I was doing and to somehow devote myself to living the experience of letting God, Creator, Spirit, Source Energy guide everything that I do.
So just so people understand, you're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You have your own business.
Yeah.
And you just decided to go on this road trip and leave it behind.
That's a good point. That's a good one to touch on, because I am an entrepreneur, and I was creating classes and workshops and web design stuff and all that. And I was doing like spiritual counseling with people. All that was awesome. But still, there was more. Like, it felt like I was having to create. Well, that's not the right way to say it. I was having to do, instead of just let it happen. We all have this feeling like we've got to do all this stuff and not let Spirit be a part of it.
So you didn't have millions of dollars in the bank where you could just say, okay, I'm going to leave my business behind and I'm just going to go. So tell us a little bit about that, because this is really important for those of us who don't have a huge bank account, but we're called to something. How do we do this, and how do we go out in faith and trust that we're going to be okay financially if we're feeling called to something?
That's super key, because, I was in debt, and there wasn't a lot of money in the bank, if any, and my motorcycle had a major oil leak, so it wasn't like the prime time to drop what income I had.
And you went on your motorcycle.
And I went on my motorcycle, and yeah, it really wasn't like, if I would have really thought about it, like, does this really make sense? No, it did not make sense for me to leave what structure that I had in Sedona, what relationship I had in Sedona, what connection that I had, to just drop that and go.
So then, what really made you do it?
I guess it was just the draw of Spirit, just the pull of Spirit. Like, I knew that if I were to keep on doing what I was doing, it would just be me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you hear a voice in your head saying, Daniel, take a road trip? You told us that you heard a song.
Yeah.
But what was it that was like, how did you know this is what you were supposed to do? How did you know with 100% certainty?
I felt it all in my body. For me, I don't really hear voices and my guides told me. I don't hear that stuff.
Can you describe that feeling?
That feeling it makes me cry. That feeling in my heart, that is this aching in my heart, that's longing for me to take that action. It's my body lighting up right now. My tears just about coming into my eyes. It's the feeling in my body, that there's that passion in my body. I'm totally lit up right now thinking about it. But that's how it feels for me, is to be like, I was crying at the coffee table in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And no one even knew what was going on. But that's, for me, it was like, I don't know what to do, but there's something going on here.
I call that a full body yes.
Yeah.
Like when everything in your body is lit up saying yes, yes,
That
yes.
full body yes that you're talking
Okay.
about, that's something that we don't get all the time. Or speaking for myself, I don't get that all the time. Like when I make decisions, I think about something, I don't get that full body, or I don't pay attention to it all the time. But when it comes in, you have to pay attention. Yeah.
So as I listen to Daniel talk, I wonder about you guys, and I wonder, what is it that is calling you so deeply? What is it that's stirring in your spirit, that's stirring in your heart, that gets you to that point of tears, or that gets you to that point of like this thing in your body telling you, I must go forth and do something or allow something? Daniel, I'd love for you to share with us some of the miracles that happened, especially financially, because that's something that's always on everybody's mind when they're an entrepreneur, when they're in business, when they're trying to make a go of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a great story to tell there. I set off with, I think I had about $200 with me. And I knew that I kind of figured out, okay, that should be enough. I was going to camp out the whole way, which I did. And if I could just get to Olympia, Washington, where my mom and stepfather live, then that'd be my destination. And then from there, I don't know what the heck I was going to do. But I had enough to get me there. So on the way there, I was in like 50-mile-an-hour winds, driving my motorcycle to the side so it wouldn't push me over. And I couldn't get off the motorcycle because it was so windy. So I had to just push on through. But after that, my tire was so worn out that I had to stop and get a new tire. So there went like $130. So, but the whole time, I never planned, like if my twin brother would plan everything out, put it in a spreadsheet, right? I didn't plan anything out. I just let it all happen. Every single night that I was looking for a campsite, it showed up. Every single time, if there was a $30 campsite, I waited, and there was a $7 campsite. Food was no problem. I never had any problem through the whole trip with the motorcycle, even with the major oil leak and everything, just that tire. When I got to Olympia, the fear started coming in about how I'm going to make some money. Money just came in. It's like I got a check here and there, or I met a woman there that set up a what's called a satsang. It's like a spiritual talk. And so I did this satsang. For 2 hours, I just shared from my heart. And I played the didgeridoo. I played the flute. And I promoted the book that I was writing. And people were eager to give me money, they gave me gifts. They gave me a flute. Like, whatever you have,
Because you showed up.
Because I showed up, because I shared from my heart. And then
Say that again.
I shared from my heart. I shared from my heart.
Did you get that?
To get that? People want to hear from your heart. That's like the big thing that I got from that, is the hummingbird right there.
Beautiful.
And then every step of the way during the trip, where fear started to come up and I started to worry about where I was going to stay and all that, I always had a place to stay. I got to Ashland. I met a friend there, and he set me up in his house for as long as I wanted. There was always food, always shelter, and the biggest part is just getting myself out of the way. Yeah.
Okay, so I can see a man doing this, a man going out into the world and maybe not having the same fears that a woman would have. Could you talk to the ladies?
Yes. the same thing applies. If you're in the space of that, I'm going to be fearful of my life. What if this happens or that happens? Then that's what your mindset is going to be. But if you have the mindset of, I'm totally protected, I am totally safe, everything that I need is within me, all that kind of that understanding, then you will be. When before I took this trip, I took a bicycle trip from Washington to California, and I met this woman. She was about your age, and she was on a beach cruiser by herself, doing the same ride that I was doing. So it's all in like your belief system. So yeah, I think, and like as far as like these kind of trips, we have these perceptions that there's these people lurking in the darkness for us. And I met the most spectacular people. That's the thing about these trips. When people find out that you're on this trip by yourself, and if you're a woman, people will support you like they didn't, they will support you more than they supported me, because you are a woman, because you are by yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel, is there anything else that you want to share with these young people? These guys are entrepreneurs, or they want to be entrepreneurs. They want to get their mission out into the world. They have something to say, they have something to share, but maybe they don't know where to start. Is there any wisdom that you'd like to impart?
I would say that the best thing for me was for me to gain the confidence that somebody wanted to listen to me, or I had something to share, was to put it into form. Write it down. For me, it's music. Like when I'm listening to music and I'm writing things down, it just comes out. I get so inspired. And so for me, it's like getting it into written form. And then I created a little booklet, like your little booklet. And that was just something that I would give to people. And it's not so much that people were accepting it, it's that I did it. That I made the effort, and that I put my passion into written form. And then from there, it's because when you put something in written form or into some kind of form, recording, video, writing, whatever, it's like you saying to the universe, this is what I want. And the universe has no choice but to say, okay.
Where can people buy your book?
If you go to, it's called One White Stone. So if you go to onewhitestone.com, it's a book about epiphany and ideas and thoughts and then the trip that I took. So it's all kind of melded together. So there's the journey in there, and I think you'll like it. There's a lot of great stuff in there. When I read this stuff now, I go, wow, there's some really cool stuff in there.
Daniel, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom today.
Thank you. Rocket, go get 'em.
Woohoo!